To the sea that sees the air of his rage. Fasten the straps ever so tightly, Peter. The prisons are folding down. The sting of the whip is sharp, and the cross is cruel. The cock has crowed, and you have denied, but now converted down through the ages, your voice still rings true, with warning. And who is more qualified? A man who tossed in his sandals in exchange for a seamless robe, a robe that smelled of fish and made you naked before Christ, the Son of God. A man mighty in flesh, but weak in spirit. A man that followed afar off, who warmed himself at the fire, but a man that went out into the darkness and wept bitterly. One who searched desperately in the gloom of the night until he found those dusty sandals lying still there where he had taken them off. Hard and caked with dust they soon became. As you traveled in the steps of Jesus, footsore and weary, you remembered the words of an old prophet. How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him that bringeth good tidings and publisheth peace, that publisheth salvation. There are sandals, and there are sandals. You, Saul, breathing out threatenings and slaughter against the disciples of the Lord, went unto the high priest and desired of him letters, giving you permission to bring the saints of God bound into Jerusalem. Yours were the sandals of ignorance, Saul. Remember the stoning of Stephen and how the witnesses laid down their clothes at your feet? Do we, like Saul, instead of feet shod with preparation of the gospel of peace, go forth in ignorance, or could it be self-will minus the knowledge and love of God, to hurt, to discourage, to use our sandals to step on, walk over, to kick and mangle in a spiritual disguise the weak and fallen, to push aside the needy, the widows and the orphans? Are we the enemies of the cross of Christ, walking about in a form of holiness? Are the words of our mouths smoother than butter, but war is in our hearts, words that are softer than oil, yet they are drawn swords? Do we take pride that our hands have never went out in violence against another, but in an outward guise of holiness we heal without restraint the spiritual influence of a brother or sister with the darts and thrusts of an unruly tongue? May the light from heaven shine round about us, as it did Saul that day on the road to Damascus, and the scales fall from our eyes, leaving us to see only the need of the downtrodden, to feel compassion for the unfortunate, show mercy and goodness, to be kind, to be changed from Saul to Paul, to have your sandals wiped clean from the blood of an innocent Stephen by the shed blood of a crucified Christ. The night is far spent and the day at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light. As you sit in the prison house at Rome, Paul, writing the epistles that serve for us a roadmap to heaven, do your eyes stray to your shackled feet, ankles raw and bleeding from the angry chain? Can you see in your worn sandals the story of your life as we know it? It's there, written in tears and bloodshed, in self-denial and persecution, in stripes above measure, in prisons more frequent, beaten with rods, stoned, shipwrecked times 3, in journeying often, in perils of robbers, in perils of your own countrymen, by heathen in the city, in the wilderness, among false brethren, in weariness and painfulness and watchfulness, in hunger and in thirst, in fastings, often in cold and nakedness. Truly, Paul, thou hast walked in the footsteps of Jesus, and now, as you are ready to be offered, and the time of your departure is at hand, have you fought a good fight, finished the course, and kept the faith? Henceforth, there in exchange for the dusty sandals you shall receive the crown of righteousness, which the Lord shall give you on that day, not for you only, but for all them that have marched down the narrow road of holiness, clad in the sandals of faith. Dusty sandals at the foot of the cross. Did an angel pass by? An angel, cobbler, who took the sandals of Jesus and fashioned a pair for every living soul, patterned after the ones worn by the Son of God, strong and sturdy, so as to march through life in the army of the Lord as a soldier of the cross. Is there a special angel that waits at the foot of the cross to meet you there and personally fit you with your sandals when you start on your journey in your life for Christ? Have you met him yet? What will you do with your lot in Jesus? Will you wear them until your journey ends, or will you be like the Roman soldier and toss them away carelessly? Or have you been a Judas, wearing them for a season but selling out for the world? Maybe as Peter you have denied that you ever wore them, but like him, you can find them again in repentance. Can it be that like Paul you are wearing them on the wrong foot? Has it been made to seem that the robe is a thing not to be desired? Not at all, but it has to be earned. It must be deserved. Does a pair of work-worn sandals fit the beauty of a seamless robe? Can they be worn together? Truly they cannot afford to be worn separately, but always the sandals must be tried and proven before the donning of the robe. Does the rainbow appear before the cloud? Is there peace without first a war of many wounds? Very seldom will you find a rose without the prick of a thorn, never a pearl minus the pain of an irritating grain of sand. The sandals of prayer are followed by the robe of peace, and the cross is followed by a crown. How proudly Peter wore his robe of reward as he healed the lame man at the gate of the temple called Beautiful, and as he walked through the open door of the prison after the angel's visit. Hear the swish of the robe as he walks down the street, casting a shadow for the healing of the multitudes. See him as he stands in awe at the sight of 3,000 converts after preaching his first message. He received a touch of heaven because he knew that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. Dusty sandals at the foot of the cross, worn through life's troubles, mid-trials, persecutions, and hardships. Wear them securely, because strait is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth to the great city, where the crowns are not thorns, and the robes are white, and the sandals are no more covered with the dust, but march through the pearly gates and down the streets of gold, where God shall wipe away all tears, and we will ever be with the Lord, where eye has not seen nor ear heard, neither has entered into the heart of man the things which God has prepared for them that love him. This was typed from the original 9-page handwritten words of my late great-grandmother Lonnie.